a passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we're challenging everything and everyone here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. If you'd like to be part of tonight's conversation, come to facebook.com/my Dr. Kevin, MYDRKEVIN. That's MYDRKEVIN, facebook.com. You will see the clip for tonight's show, and we will be monitoring that. And if you have questions, then let us know, and we will bring those questions to our listeners. One of the things I do want you to know is you don't make change happen in the world by sitting down and shutting up. You have to stand up, speak out, be heard, and take action. Your action in the next hour is get on facebook.com/my Dr. Kevin. Like the page while you're there if you haven't already. What's wrong with you? And then ask your questions. Become part of the dialogue. Become part of the change. So tonight we have a different kind of show as we do every second Thursday. Every second Thursday we have Thirst Quenching Thursday, where Matt Connaughton Unleashed and Dr. Kevin go head to head to head to head.
Oh, my.
Oh, my. And I think that's the sound of Matthew. Matthew, are you there?
I am. You obviously can hear me okay, which is wonderful. We have some new equipment that we're using here at the studio, so I'm glad that you can hear me.
I can hear you. I'm going to say you sound a tiny little bit tunnely. Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit, not horrible, but it does sound just a little bit like you're not quite to the end of the tunnel. You haven't quite stepped out fully into the light, but I've been trying to drag you into the light for years, so what's new?
I'm making some adjustments. Not that kind of adjustment, but how's it sound now? Does it sound the same? Does it sound any different, better, worse?
Sounds about the same.
Okay. All right, well, I'll run with it.
Okay, well, run with it. I can hear you. Listeners, can you hear him? If you can hear him, come to facebook.com/my Dr. Kevin, and you can hashtag I hear Matthew, or he likes to go by Matt, I guess. How many? Am I the only one that calls you Matthew or Matthew?
My dad calls me Matty, and I have been called Matt, Matthew, Matthew. Matthew, yes. I've been called many things. Those are some of the more flattering.
Yes. Well, I've called you some of the less flattering things in our history together.
Yes, I've been called many things.
So we had a new graphic this week that's going to be, I'm going to haul out every Thirst Quenching Thursday. What did you think of the new graphic?
Well, I like it, and I was saying the other night that I did mention on my show, Matt Connaughton Unleashed, that it's official. Dr. Kevin has driven me to drink.
Yeah, you're not going to fool anyone with that. You were drinking before I ever came on the picture.
I'm not much of a drinker, actually. People are usually surprised when they... even people who've known me for a long time, when they see me with a drink, they'll be like, when did you start drinking? It's like, well, I've never been a non-drinker. I've just never been much of a drinker.
Yeah. I'd like to say the same thing, but I won't. I look a whole lot more comfortable in that picture with my beer than you do.
That's true. Something just changed on your end. You're sounding a whole lot better as of about 30 seconds ago. Did you adjust something?
No, I haven't adjusted anything that I know of.
Might be your internet connection. When we started it, you sounded like you were cutting in and out, but now it's really clear, so that's good.
Oh, good.
Yes.
So yes, and if you notice on this new, which if you want to, again, to our listeners, if you want to see what this new graphic we're talking about looks like, come to facebook.com/my Dr. Kevin. Like the page while you're there, of course. And then you can see these neat little pictures I've put together of Matthew holding a beer, me at an English pub, Matt and my's professional pictures, and then I have a rainbow-colored bottle of Absolute, a Bad King John Black Ale, a Bishop's Finger, a promotional half a beer glass that's cut from top to bottom, half a beer, talking about the show, which that's a little hard to read on my iPhone. It read all right on my computer, but that's definitely a little hard to read. I have to enlarge it to read it. And something says, why try so hard to fit in when you were born to stand out? So what do you think, Matthew? Were you born to stand out?
Wow. I don't know. I wasn't ready for that.
Are you ever ready for any of the questions I ask?
Some of them depends. That's a very sort of esoteric question.
Yeah. When I first envisioned this show, because you can be very outspoken, and I thought it was a good foil and an offset for the fact that I'm so quiet, shy, and retiring.
Yeah, I like to think that I bring you out of your shell. Yes. You need that.
Yes.
Clearly.
Yes. Is this Thirst Question Thursday I wanted us to talk about some of what was going on in the world, talk about whatever kind of came up, but I wanted to make sure that we were giving it an interesting or different spin for the listeners. Why tune in? Because there's lots of people that are talking about the hot topics today, and there are a ton of hot topics for us to talk about today. But I'd like to see if we can really take that Matt Connerton Unleashed and that Dr. Kevin twist, and make sure that we give our listeners something that they're not getting anywhere else. Are you up to the challenge?
Of course. Actually, you know what? I as you were talking too, I was thinking about the question you just asked me a minute ago, and I'll tell you a very quick anecdote. Years ago, I was in a relationship with this girl Karen, who I really wasn't doing a lot with my life at the time. I mean, I was working full time, and I was it's not like I was living at home or anything. I mean, I was gainfully employed and paying the bills and whatnot, but I started getting the itch to do more. I wanted to maybe go back to school, and I didn't feel like I was going anywhere in my life. And the short version of the story is, I had a conversation with Karen about this, and this was when our relationship wasn't going so well, and we were kind of getting to be on the outs anyway. And this was a moment that changed my life. And when I tell you what she said to me, you'll understand how it relates to the question that you asked me. She said to me, Matt, some people are meant to go out in the world and accomplish great things and do great things, and some people are meant to just kind of be who they are and just settle and just be happy with who they are and just accept that. And that's you, and you should just be happy with who you are and just accept that. And it was probably one of the most hurtful things anyone has ever said to me. But it was a moment that I would never take back, because it also, something changed within me. Once I was done pouting and being hurt over what she had said to me, then that hurt eventually turned to resolve. And, and then I did start to make some changes and start to try to push to actually make something out of my life. And I think it's probably obvious how that relates to the question that you asked me.
So you decided you were born to stand out.
Exactly. I just needed someone to tell me that I wasn't before I was able to get that I was. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I'd even take that one step further. I would say it took someone to tell you, to say, remember your place, for you to say, yeah, well, remember my backsides as they walk out the door. And don't be afraid to pucker your lips on the way.
Well said.
Well, of course, I'm still here in England. This is my last week. I'm getting on a plane, and I will be just down the road a piece from you in less than a week.
Excellent.
And
we look forward to seeing you. Although I bet you're going to I bet you've probably got some mixed feelings about that. Obviously, coming home.
Well, I do. I mean, I really love it over here. I've always felt like this was like a place that I could call home. And I always feel like I have a home in England here. And, and I do want to make sure I take a moment and one last time, so to speak, on air. I want to thank Olivia Stefanino and the divine Miss O, who you know, and the Fab Sime, who, have opened up their house and, made me, really feel welcome here. I've been here since the end of June. That's a long time.
Yeah, because originally you were supposed to have a shorter stay, right? And
yes. And they actually asked me to stay on, which told you how much that they, either are really, really polite or really, really need their head examined. But I love it here. I do love it here. And I think the part of it is that there's ever since you've known me, I've always been, what's that character? The Roadrunner. Or maybe the Tasmanian Devil would be a better one. And I like the fact that the pace of life here is slower.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you can find that here, too. I mean, in the U.S., certainly there's parts of the country where the pace is slower. I mean, I get the impression down south is like that.
Well, unfortunately, the pace that's slower, oftentimes, the pace isn't the only thing that's slower.
Yes.
We're going to be right back. This is the Dr. Kevin Show on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. And we're on Thirst Quenching Thursday with Matthew Connaughton and myself. And we'll be right back.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
September 23rd, September 23rd, September 23rd. Mark that down on your calendar. Put it in your phone. Whatever you do, circle that date. 9 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio. Yes, it is the return of the Joe Show. We will come back live with Season 9. Wow, 9 seasons. I can only think of 4. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Salt, pepper, oregano, and thyme. No. Anyways, we don't have that much time. We're going to be back live September 23rd. Don't forget. 9 p.m. Eastern, here on OMTimes Radio.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. And here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we're challenging everything and everyone. You are joining us on the second Thursday of the month, which we call Thirst Quenching Thursday, where Matt Connaughton from Matt Connaughton Unleashed and Dr. Kevin roll out what's going on in the world and give you maybe some different thoughts, some different ideas, some different perspectives. You are invited to be part of this conversation. And in that, we would like to invite you through coming to facebook.com/MyDrKevin. You can type in your question right now. We will read it on air, and Matt and I will kick it around like a soccer ball. Oh, my.
They call it football there, don't they?
Well, no. We have soccer here. What we call soccer here, they call football. What you... What they call football here is what we call soccer, but they have football in England. Okay. And then they have rugby, and which is closer to what we call soccer. So, anyways, but I'm still speaking at the fact that the majority of the listening audience is U.S. and not U.K. based. Though we've been picking up some U.K. We have had some people commenting. I did ask the question: were you born to stand out? And Jen Mosaic Coffee, who we both know and love, well, yes. Well,
I've heard of her, yes.
Yeah, in different ways. The next sound I'm going to hear is the sound that some part of you has just been painfully hit with something. And she said, she responded, rising strong. And I asked her, are you dancing in the eye of the tiger? And she said, nope, Brene Brown. Well, now, Matthew, here is your quiz. Why did I ask her if she was dancing in the eye of the tiger? What went on this week that was the big brouhaha around the eye of the tiger?
Well, the band Survivor is, or at least members of the band Survivor are suing Mike Huckabee for use of the song Eye of the Tiger to commemorate this big ceremony they had. Well, ceremony is probably not the right word, but when Kim Davis was released from her jail in Kentucky for refusing to grant marriage licenses in her capacity as a government bureaucrat, marriage licenses to same-sex couples. So when she was released from jail with all these people, I find it creepy personally, all these people cheering for her and holding their crucifixes and whatnot because, score one for God, I in their minds because, those icky gay people want to get married. We certainly can't have that. So anyway, the song Eye of the Tiger was used for that. And some people objected. The people who own the song said they did not offer permission for that.
So should we stop calling Kim Davis a bureaucrat, and should we be calling her a bigocrat? What do you think?
I like that. Yes.
Yeah, a bigocrat. What I want to know is, first of all, make sure that you're reading our conversational timeline. Second of all, I want to know is, do you, first of all, do you think that Survivor has the right, you're a musician, you're into music, do you think they have the right to sue over the playing of a song in the background?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, this gets tricky because it is not necessarily the case that Huckabee or the organizers of the event necessarily needed permission from Survivor to use the song. Music is used publicly all the time for events, and the artist, the composer, whoever owns the rights, the publishing to the song are never contacted. So just based on, because this comes up all the time. You can find articles online of, if you Google, 15 examples, musicians got upset with politicians for using their music without permission. There's a long history of this. And of course, this is no different because Mike Huckabee is running for president. So this is yet another example of somebody's song being used by someone with different values without the composer's permission, where I think Survivor might be able. Well, typically what happens is, by the way, the campaign is sent a cease and desist order from whomever owns the publishing rights to the song, and then that's the end of it. They stop using it. They comply. What might be different about this, because there was no cease and desist order because the event had already happened, but if the members of Survivor can prove in court that they have been somehow damaged by this because people, upon hearing the song used in this instance, would then assume that Survivor supports Kim Davis or Survivor is somehow endorsing Mike Huckabee. If they can prove that they've been damaged by that, then maybe they have a case. But I have to be honest with you, I'm a little bit skeptical. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see them win because I am pro-marriage equality. But, this just handed me, Jen Mosaic Coffee, who you referenced a moment ago, said they sued Gingrich. And Dr. Kevin says hi. They sued Newt Gingrich, and there was a closed settlement. So who sued Newt? Survivor. Okay, I didn't realize that. So well, that's a good precedent then. So I'd like to see them win, but I'm skeptical that they can. But
well, I think one of the things is, I think that because I was reading something about this, and there's two or three different things. Because obviously, I am not in favor of the fact that somebody who is paid to uphold the law of the nation feels that they have a right because of their God. Mm-hmm. And there's tons of gods in this country, and so there's just one of them. Mm-hmm. There's even, a half a ton of Christian gods, and they don't all agree. Okay. That they somehow have a right to not do their job. And, of course, we've seen a lot of funny pictures come up. I think my favorite was the one that's left over from the X-Files where they have the Agent Scully saying she didn't believe in UFOs, but she still did her job.
Right. That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, I love that one. But is that they played it on a national media press conference versus they were playing it at an event. So I mean, there's one more step of intentionality to misuse somebody else's intellectual property.
Very good point.
Yeah, because, I mean, the things I've read that said they had a strong case. And, so there are two different issues here. And one is intellectual property and how well should we be protecting it. And then there's 3 points. And the second point is, Kim Davis, and I'm over here in England and I'm watching the shows here that are just rightfully so making us look like a country of idiotic bigots.
Well, like you said, when we were talking about this last month in regard to how they talk about Trump, they say, well, what do you expect from such a young country? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, another person that's not really making us look anything but like we're stupid and foolish in the world, Donald Trump, but we're not even going to go there in this moment. And it's not all about how we look in the world. I mean, 8 years of George W. didn't completely kill us in the world. So
damn near
it. Yeah, I was traveling internationally when he was president. Let me tell you, I heard about it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, anyways, but so there's the Kim Davis case, and then there's the case that we have that is the one that some people are talking about. I mean, it's definitely getting some airplay, but I want you and I to also talk about is we have presidential candidates that are saying it's okay to put your personal religious beliefs beyond your duties to your country, and they want to be president.
Right.
How scary is that?
It's scary, but it's also nothing new. What's scary is, from my perspective, is that in the year 2015, we're still not past that. It shows a lack of any sort of evolution in conservative thinking in that way. But it's not anything new. I mean, I remember hearing that kind of stuff when I was a kid. I remember hearing people like Ronald Reagan talk like that, it's frustrating to me, but it doesn't scare me any more now than it did 30 years ago. It's just kind of more of the same. The scary thing is, though, I don't like the idea of, say, an evangelical Christian, like a Mike Huckabee, for example, being in charge of nuclear weapons. Because if you're an evangelical Christian, part of what is endemic of your belief system is that Armageddon is ultimately a good thing, because that brings about the second coming of Christ and all that. And I don't want somebody in the White House who believes that, who we get into a nuclear standoff with somebody, and then he starts thinking he's hearing the voice of God in his head saying, "Go ahead, Mike, push the button. It's time." And people think I'm being flippant when I say that, but I'm completely serious. I think that is a very real danger.
Well, I don't know if you saw the post that I did this week, but, it was around one of the Kim Davis things, and I said this just proves that there are religious nutcases that, all different religions are getting stuck with. Now,
absolutely.
We're seeing them left and right and all over the place. Well, I think that, I don't remember as a kid, and maybe I was not as politically aware as a child as you were. I'm not. I don't know even how to figure that out or make a comparison. But I don't remember so much having people running for president saying, supporting people for openly breaking the laws. And maybe my memory is just short. Maybe I was just not paying attention. Maybe I was just too busy being fabulous. I'm not sure. But it definitely has it smells of desperation.
Yeah.
It has the stink. The Republicans, and I hate to say this, but the Republicans have the stink of desperation. We'll be right back.
I agree.
This is the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes Radio, changing the world one ohm at a time. We'll be right back with Matt Connerton.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Then join me on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hi. This is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. Also on the Dr. Kevin Show, we're challenging everything and everyone. This is our second Thursday of the month, so like every second Thursday, this is Thirst Quenching Thursday, where Matt Connaughton from Matt Connaughton Unleashed and I tackle some of the topics of the day and see if we can put just a little bit of a different spin on them. You can be part of this conversation if you would like to come to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, MYDRKEVIN, My Dr. Kevin. And if you come there and obviously like it, hit that little thumbs up. Yes. And you can leave your comment. You can be heard and we will share what you have to say with our 3 million listeners. So, Matthew, are you still there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Can I hear you? Can I hear you? Can I hear you now? Can I hear you now? Now. Can I hear you now? Yeah, I can hear you. But you just went quiet.
Sorry, I'm having an issue. Check.
Oh, and yep, you're in, you're out. I'm losing you. I'm finding you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good.
I can hear you now.
Sorry, I apologize. We have a new mixing board that we're using here in the studio, and I keep messing with the settings. It's a new toy, so it's hard not to want to play.
Well, you know what they say. Well, I can't wait till you respond to some of the comments I just wrote.
Oh my goodness.
You know what they say. The difference between men and boys is the price of their toys. So,
I did not know they said that.
You've never heard that before?
I actually never have, no.
No? Oh, yeah. That saying's been around for a long time. The only difference between men and boys is the price of their toys.
Makes sense.
Yep. Well, it's so interesting that you should actually happen to say that. I shared something on Facebook today. And it says, it was one that I had picked up on there on the Facebook feed. Social Security is insurance we paid into against old age and need. It's not welfare. It's not a gift. Congress, pay back the $2.6 trillion you borrowed from it, then it will be solvent. And that it's a picture of an old person. And I'm just going to say, before I ask you what you think, I'm just going to tell you what I wrote as I shared the photo and put it out there. How can we have the highest prison population in the world and have Washington, D.C. politicians not in prison cells for what they have done to America? What are they? Out on bad behavior? Who owns Washington? So that was my comment over the comment. Yeah. So...
Well, I can tell you who owns Washington. That's easy. Banks and Wall Street and Big Pharma and
absolutely
the oil companies. I can tell you who doesn't own Washington. It's not you or me.
No. Last time I checked in my stock portfolio, I can say this word. I really can. You know, it is almost midnight here in England. But last time I looked at my stock portfolio, there was nowhere where it said the word thief spelled LOBBYIEST.
I can't even afford a lobbyist to send to Washington. It's very frustrating. I can show up and vote, but without the lobbyist to go and represent me and what I voted for, I don't know what good it does.
Yeah. Well, I definitely understand that one. So, what do you think? Social Security. If Washington paid the money back, would it be solid? Should we continue it? Do we have a better choice? It's the third rail, as they say in Washington politics, and I want you to stick both your hands on it and see if it gives you a perm. What do you think?
I kind of liked the idea. This is going to some people's heads will explode when I say this, but during the George W. Bush administration, there was this idea floated to privatize Social Security. Me and 5 or 6 other people actually maybe thought that was a good idea. It didn't go anywhere because only probably me and 5 or 6 other people thought it was a good idea. But but I thought it was an interesting idea. But I think most people now kind of assume there is a cynicism about Social Security, and people of my generation and younger, and probably even people older than I am, assume that when we become of retirement age, there simply won't be anything there. The Social Security will be bare. I don't know if that's true, and I'm not good at math, so I don't get too far into the weeds trying to figure it out. But, we just keep going further and further into debt, obviously, and the system, I fear, is designed to ultimately collapse under the weight of the debt. The way the global economy is constructed, and I don't know that there will be anything, and I don't know this idea of Washington could pay back the money. I'm not sure how that would work. So I don't have anything too optimistic to say.
Do you understand what that? Do you understand what that's about? Do you understand where that comment comes from?
No, tell me. I might have missed something.
Yes, at different times when they did not have the money that they needed, they took the money out of Social Security to balance the budget, to do this. So they took the money that was set aside to be able to pay out Social Security to the people who paid into it.
Right.
And of course, part of it is if all of that money was back in and was being even reasonably, invested at a very small return rate, then Social Security would be solid for the rest of my lifetime, your lifetime, and, maybe even our kids' lifetime, with some modifications that, we might have to raise the Social Security age to 70 or whatever, because people are, living vibrant lives longer, and there may be less need, and we may need to look at the fact of, there are some shifts that could be made reasonably. There are shifts that could be made reasonably that would mean that Social Security wouldn't get ready to fall apart. And it really is because, Washington, raped the Social Security system while it was taking money from, all of the lobbyists and the farmers and sticking it in their pockets and, doing all this pork barrel spending. They grabbed people's retirement accounts, and if a bank or if an insurance company was caught the fact that they couldn't pay out the annuities, they'd be in jail.
Yeah. Well, I know part of the problem with Social Security, too, is that when it began, it wasn't originally intended to be, didn't even live long enough to get to retirement age to actually use it. So it wasn't an issue when it was originally constructed. But now, people are living longer. You've got the baby boomers retiring, and it's I don't know how you fix it. I mean, it's all part of a larger scenario of rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, I fear. And I don't know that there is a politically tenable solution. You described it as very accurately as a third rail, a political third rail, and it is. Anything that you try to propose, no one's going to be happy with, or someone won't be happy with. The only thing that would make everybody happy would be if you could somehow magically just make it whole again and assure everyone that it would be fine. But you can't do that. And none of the solutions that anyone's come up with to make everybody happy, and our political culture is such that, you've got to be able to make at least 50% of the people affected happy in order to win an election. So I honestly don't know. I don't know what to do.
Are there even 50% of the people that vote? Or is it 50% of the 50% that vote?
Well, I'm talking about, you got to make at least 50% of the voters happy. I mean, okay. I'm speaking in broad terms, but, in terms of...
Don't speak to me like I'm a broad.
Listen, you dingy broad.
Archie! Shut up, meathead.
Give me a beer, eat it. Is there a British version of that kind of talk?
Speaking
that way to women. Is there? Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, well, but I mean, one of the things is, if your goal is to make everyone happy, then you're just a liar, because you're telling somebody something you don't believe or you're not going to do to keep everybody happy. The other thing is we have to look at the fact that what we really have to do is we have to keep 50% of the people who actually are voting, because we can just forget the apathetic because they're not voting anyways. And then we have to look at what makes those people vote. And oftentimes, feeling angry makes those people vote.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So what we're doing
Anger
is...
and outrage are...
Yep. Yes, anger and outrage and, having a life that really doesn't work for you is what makes people vote. And so politicians have gotten very, very good at the black and white hat game, because it blows off the steam when they're screwing over their constituents just as much as whatever the other party's person would have done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, who do you think?
Most of it's emotionally charged. It's not. The logic and reason don't enter it, unfortunately, or pragmatism.
No. No, there's no sign of intelligence in the voting patterns, because, to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different results is the definition of insanity. Mm-hmm. And so all these people that go back and reelect these people to their 43rd year or their 34th year or their 37th year of Congress and expect that anything different is going to happen is the height of ludicrousy. Mm-hmm. How can you keep sending the same people back and think that anything different is going to happen?
Right. Agreed.
So insanity. So basically Washington is in Washington because the majority of the people that vote are insane. Even if it's only 51%, I've made my case. We will be right back. We are at the Dr. Kevin Show, where we're challenging everything. This is Thirst Quenching Thursday with Matt Connerton Unleashed and myself on OMTimes Radio, changing the world one home at a time.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. Here on the Dr. Kevin Show, we like to challenge everything and everyone, and we challenge you to come to Facebook.com/MyDrKevin, MyDrKevin. Put a little thumbs up like there on the old like button, and then come to the picture of Matt and I getting soused, and among other things on that picture, and give us your comments, ask us your questions, see what you'd like to talk about. So I've got a couple of things coming up besides the fact that I'm coming back to the States. But is there anything that's going on in this week that you wanted to talk about, Matthew? Matthew, are you there? Hello, you have done something again. Hello? Well, I would say that Matthew has been busy playing with his new toys and has somehow disconnected himself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a couple of other things that are coming up here. For those of you who listened to our show last week, I had on Aviana Ladance. And we on that show decided that we were going to, actually, I kind of roped her into it. I decided that on the 15th of October, so a month and a week, so it's the third Thursday next month, we are going to do a poetry show. When I had first found DKRN.FM, one of the channels I wanted to have was for original poets and writers, essayists, people to share their, the current writers of the day, people whose stuff you might not normally come across. So we are going to be doing that, and if it is successful, so to speak, if people want to participate. Hello, are you back?
I apologize, Dr. Kevin. Oh, boy. I got to stop pushing buttons. I won't push any more buttons for the rest of the show.
Yes, because I'm going to be seeing you soon, and I will remember this, and I'm going to push a button or two. Could you hear anything I was saying?
Oh, yeah. No, I could hear you the entire time. I just, I was muted inadvertently.
So anyways, so I've always wanted to give original works, mine and other people's, a space, a place to be heard. And of course, good poetry was written to be heard, really not read. And so on October 15th, Aviana Ladance and I are going to be doing the first poetry show. And if we get people that actually are tuning in and commenting and liking it or sending in pieces, so you can send in original pieces, you can just post your original pieces right there on the My Dr. Kevin, facebook.com/My Dr. Kevin, or facebook.com/The Dr. Kevin Show. Either one of those pages, you can send us or email us your original piece, and we're going to share some original pieces. Vienna has a book of her own out, and she has another one coming out next year. I have 4 books out of poetry. This is just poetry now. We're just talking poetry. And I've got another 8 that are in production that will just be getting released by whatever formula somebody at the publishing house decides. So we have that coming up right after our next Coaching Thursday, Matthew. What do you think?
That's outstanding. And what is your partner in that? What is her name again?
Aviana.
That's a name I've never heard. That's a beautiful name. Not a name I've heard before.
Well, you need to go back and listen to last week's show. This is her soul name that after meditation for all of the time I knew, she was known as Melissa Terry.
Okay.
And then she went through a whole transformational process, and we talked about the whole thing about changing your name and feeling like you reach a point in your life where there's a different name that better speaks your soul, and hers is Aviana Ladance.
Very nice.
So, yeah. And if you or Jen have a piece of original poetry you'd like to share, let us know. Come on, get it to us, and we'll read one of your pieces on air, or in the case of you and Jen, I'd let you come on and read your own. I'm not opening it up. Unfortunately, guys, I can't open it to all of you to, just Skype in and read it. But
right.
If you guys wanted to, or if you like poetry, give the show a listen.
Very nice.
Yeah. And if it goes well, I may do this once every couple of months. So maybe every other month, Thirst Quenching Thursday, the following Thursday, I'll do, the poetry, and share that. I think it's so important to support creativity. What was the quote by Winston Churchill? They asked him about, do they need to cut the arts because of the war effort? And he said, if we cut the arts, what are we fighting for?
Yeah, very well said. That was something, by the way, that I didn't know about you until relatively recently, that you also wrote poetry. And I was learning more things about you. You've written songs. I didn't know you were a songwriter until recently. You're like an onion. You just gotta keep peeling it.
Stinky, and I make you cry?
Well, yeah, I mean, it does. Onions do make me tear up, yes.
Yes. Well, maybe some of my songs or poetry would make you tear up. Yeah, actually, it's interesting because the creative process is such an interesting process. Mm-hmm. And we all have some kind of creativity in us. I don't believe that anybody has no creativity. They just don't always recognize how it plays out. Mm-hmm. And my creative is like my psychic abilities. It's just explosive. Now, on the other side, there are things that I absolutely can't do, and I'm a disaster at languages. No matter what you do, you can't shove a foreign language in my head, which is a shame because I love to travel and I love other cultures. Mm-hmm. Hopeless. Gun to a head. I still can't do French, Spanish, whatever.
I'm with you. I took 3 years of Spanish. I remember almost none of it.
Yeah. And, and I kept on trying to do that whole pillow talk thing, that if I slept with enough people that spoke a foreign language, that, maybe I'd pick up the language through pillow talk. But, yeah, it didn't work. But I'll keep trying. I hear it's an effective method.
Sure. Well, you're in the wrong country for that, though. You're in a country that speaks English. Of all the places in Europe to go, you go to the country where you can't learn another language.
There's a reason I like it here. I feel comfortable. Anyways, but the whole thing with creativity is, it's when you let it go, creativity is like a muscle in of itself. And, when somebody is creative enough to be a painter or a sculptor or an essayist or a songwriter, but they don't push themselves into other parts of creativity, it's like the person who only ever, develops their biceps but then have pencil legs, or, have a flat stomach but a weak back, mm-hmm. or, whatever, because any kind of creativity can lead you to play out some other kind of creativity if you just allow it. That's mm-hmm. my belief.
Mm-hmm. I like what you said about you don't believe that because some people do think that they don't have creativity, and they probably have a lot more creativity than they realize. In terms of doing hypnotherapy with people, I will often ask people about doing positive visualization, and I'll ask them, do you do any kind of visualization? Do you ever stop and imagine what you want for yourself and really think about it? And so every once in a while, actually it doesn't happen too often, but once in a while, someone will say to me, I don't really have much of an imagination. It's hard for me to imagine things. I don't really fantasize or anything. I just don't have an imagination. And it's like, no, you definitely do. Everyone does. You obviously are not used to using it if you think that you don't have one, but of course you do. Everyone has an imagination. You just got to get into the habit of using it. Think back to when you were a child and you would use your imagination all the time. Sometimes it's something we lose
touch with.
Yeah, we lose touch with as an adult, but it's always there. Everyone has it.
Well, what it does is it gets trapped in the jail of judgment. When our creativity gets judged and we're made to feel like it's not our thing,
right? Then
we shut it down. We kind of lock it away and put away the key and say, oh, right then, I'm here to be a mechanic, or I'm here to just run a store, or, add up a number of columns, mm-hmm. A column of numbers. And we separate from it. Mm-hmm. So, we have to bring that creativity back, and we have to know that we have to start with that assumption, same assumption I start with psychic abilities. Everybody's got them. Mm-hmm. Where'd you stick them? Because you got them. They're there somewhere. You've lost them. They're in a pants pocket somewhere. They're stuck somewhere in the lining of a jacket, but they're there. Mm-hmm. So if we start with the thought process that they exist, then we can go hunt for them. Mm-hmm. But so often, especially when we're young and we're vulnerable, all it takes is a careless comment by one treasured adult, and we give all of our power away to it.
Absolutely. Very well said. That is absolutely true.
So I'm going to, we've only got a couple more minutes on this show. And I want to say to the listeners that Matt and I have been talking about that him and his partner, Jen Coffey, are going to host me for some events when I get back to New England. We are talking about maybe doing some live streaming on a Are You Psychic class that would then give people a chance to attend a psychic development weekend, either in person, or we could even arrange that it could be done long distance. I'm managing the gift, an ADD workshop, the same thing. We've even talked about doing a alternative spirituality class leading to a spiritual development weekend, or a Discovering Your Purpose leading to a Combing the Mirror weekend. We're going to be posting all of these in the Dr. Kevin Show, and you let us know what you would be interested in. Matt, as always, thank you.
Dr. Kevin, thank you. Always a pleasure. We're
on again in a month, and I will be talking to you next week stateside at a decent time. And I want to thank you very much. And again, come to facebook.com/MyDrKevin. Comment. We'll get back to you if you are listening to this as a replay. And we'll see you next week here on OMTimes Radio, changing the world one moment at a time.